very long time. And what better time than now? So thank you for tuning in. I well, requested permission to live stream over the weekend. I've been leaving it dormant for a while. So requested it on Saturday or Friday and got the authorization on Sunday. And obviously, if you have been tuning into the carnival worldwide and listening to the drama that I've had to endure the weekend, insignificant I might add, and I kind of put this in the back burner. But on Monday, just out of the blue, I decided, you know what? I'm struggling to pick up the weight I'm trying to pick up to get up to the 140s, 150s, 160s even. To put this keto challenge to the test again publicly, side by side with one or several of my cars, depending on which way it goes. And with what happened the weekend and the Strictly Street, I think I'm going to pick the one that is most common in the streets of Cape Town. So, on average, 4-cylinder, aspirated, manual. Front wheel, rear wheel doesn't really matter. Capacity doesn't really matter. Those things are subjective depending on your build. But the biggest for me is that. So that'll be discussed more on the Carnival Worldwide. You're more than welcome to tune in there. This is an introduction to the new. So thank you for tuning in. I'm just glad it worked. 6 o'clock, here we are, live. No issues. I almost forgot to create a profile for this. So I'm just glad that is all sorted. So what is Blinkbek about? Well, if you know me for a while, you know I've been sort of, everyone is calling it banting, or you're on a keto diet. Oh, okay, you're banting. Probably not what you think. Probably not what you are doing. Probably not what you've read about and never tried. So I've been through this since 2017, trying to figure out what works, what's real, what is actually working. Not the fad, not this gentrified version of banting, not this Constantia mentality of banting, or this Bishop's Court, or St. Lucia, or Santon approach to banting. This is, as everything else I do, for the people. So it's to try and dispel the myths that, eating high quality foods are expensive. And people don't even know what high quality means or high nutritional value means. They just think products. So, butter. Oh, that's expensive. I want to buy margarine. The two are very different things. Or they'll buy, ground beef instead of lean mince or steak mince. The three are very different. Or they will go and buy, low fat milk or box milk because it's cheaper, compared with fresh, full cream, medium fat milk. Very different things. They may even buy off the shelf bread instead of bread from a bakery. The two are very different things, and they affect your body in many ways, in different ways. The scary thing about it is that what we consume, and there's not much we should consume. The only three things we should actually consume is air, water, and food. So there's not much that we should consume as a whole. And I mean, this has taken me 7 years to try and, review, experiment, engage, perfect, and I'm not there yet. Because 30 years from now, someone will go and say, oh, we've been eating wrong. I doubt that's going to happen with what I'm doing, because I'm not doing the usual banting and keto, like I said. I mean, if you look at the science of food, we don't know anything. Bottom line. If you look at news articles today, oh, we've been eating wrong for the last 30 years. If you look back in time, they'll say the same thing. This is the new thing. And today they'll say, oh, try this. And what's the recent fad? The carnivore diet. I mean, I don't think I've seen a lion, you know, specifically rushing to go eat a tree. You know, spotting a tree and rushing so it's the first one there to get the best leaves. Lions are carnivore, right? And we've got all those types of variants. So lions are carnivore. Some animals are omnivores. Other animals are herbivores. What are we? We are animal. So yes, we can choose to eat whatever we want. You know, some of us are omnivores. We eat everything and anything, and that some of it is taboo, or some of it is unappreciated by the next demographic or culture or creed or segment of the population. Others, and weirdly so, are just herbivores. They eat plants. They are vegetarians. They're vegans. The new term. But they don't tell you the background things. They tell you what you want to hear. They tell you, oh, this is clean eating. Your body will, cleanse itself. You will feel better. You will do all of these things. Now, I'm not advocating for what I do or the way I'm eating. All I'm asking you is to engage. Share your experience, ask the questions, find out as much as you can, be informed. I mean, what I've said on my other channel applies to everything. Get the insight, get the information, be informed, get education, educate yourself, ask questions, get advice. Don't just take what one individual says as gospel. Get from a number of samples. I mean, if you trust your doctor, it's been your doctor all your life, and your family doctor, what is the harm in getting a second opinion? Or don't. If what you're doing works for you, then that's great. I'm not here to force you to try and do this, eat this way. I have a program that worked for me. And we can test that. If there's another individual that is on a different program that wishes to healthily compete with me, let's engage and do that. It's interesting. Let's collaborate and see how that works down the line. But once you have all that information, you will be empowered. You can uplift yourself. You can start to think about slight changes. Yes, everyone is concerned with money. But that stuff's expensive. I've been showing that expensive eating is actually a lot cheaper than the low quality, poor quality foods we are eating, irrespective of your regime, carnivore, omnivore, herbivore. And there are 3 types of individuals as well: mesomorph, ectomorph, endomorph. At its core, I don't even want to get into biology because that's a topic and discussion and channel on its own. But you can't be an endomorph and want to train and look like an ecto, and vice versa, and for all the other alternatives. You've got to work with what you are gifted. Your body type and your body shape, there's nothing wrong with it. But we can live healthily and have a long life, a good life. I mean, people used to live to 20, 21, 25, 30. Have kids by, 18, 16, whenever you able to have kids. People probably had kids when they were young. I mean, I come from a massive family where what did they have besides, biology and procreation? They didn't have TV. And most of the people that we know and our family tree and great-grandfathers and forefathers and all those, they didn't have a long life. Some did. And science has been trying to figure that out for years. But we've also gotten into this trap where we've been poisoned by fast-moving consumer good corporations. Now, I mean, I could say literally everything we eat is tainted. even down to the ingredients that you would use in this program or other programs. The meat we buy, it most probably has steroids or antibiotics or probiotics or something that was in that meat. And obviously, a lot of people push for organic, you know, buy organic, and that is tied with plant-based veganism, vegan lifestyle. A lot of people try and push agendas, and it's mostly driven by corporations. If you go and look at documentaries, docu-movies, and you look closer, you'll see these big corporations, they invest heavily in convincing you to get their product because it's good for you. When in reality, it's killing you. But not to worry, there's medication that will fix you. And then you'll get up other complications. I mean, just in short, I can tell you, I haven't been to the doctor since 2020. Haven't been. Through COVID, haven't been. After COVID, haven't been. Have I been sick? No usual sickness like flu or cold. Yes, I suffer from gout. That is of my own doing because I love eating. So all the more reason to be here, because this isn't going to be a BS about dieting in the sense of leaves. I'm no rabbit. But diet is just your routine, your way of eating, what you're eating. So, it's been interesting for me to see and interpret other individuals' understanding of what this is. And Blinkbek is essentially, when you're eating greasy foods, what your mouth ends up looking like. Van die lekkerte. Blinkbek. Now, I mean, I love eating. So, if it comes to lekker kos, you can call me die kos yakuza. Ek is die kos gangster. And I mean, some people will know me. I'll post something. They'll post a picture of food, and I'll be like, price, location. Where can I get this? A lot of people know me for that. Topic for me will generally start in whatever I love, and it will, if it doesn't start in food, and it will end up going to food. So, what more an appropriate name than Blinkbek? And there are channels coming, there are other social media platforms coming, there is content that I need to upload. There's so much content that I've made promises. I didn't put time frames. Some of them I did, but they will be uploaded. And this channel is probably going to be no different. But, that's a little bit about what this channel is meant to be. It's about food, it's about nutrition, it's about a healthy, balanced lifestyle, it's about health, it's about well-being. And it may dwell or venture down travel and lifestyle and how that is centered around food. I mean, there's a couple of places. There's one in particular in Naargheid. The next time I go to Port Shepstone, to Desi Raceway, that's where I'm headed for the foods that they are putting out there. And I'll post a link on the community page and on my channel for you guys to have a look. And I've been commenting there for a good couple of years, and it just looks awesome. I mean, my stomach is agreeing. I'm getting hungry now. So if you have been following me for the last week, I mean, Monday, as I said, I just said, well, you know what? I want to start this program November so that I can be in it for December. And I should see huge results in that 1 month with simple exercise, like going for a walk early morning, late afternoon, changing it up, increasing the load, maybe walk or driving to a mountain pass, walking up the pass, coming down, seeing how it goes. And maybe not even exercising at all, but I just decided on Monday, you know what, I'm just going to do this. I want to see, because I've been struggling, as I said, to pick up the weight I've been looking to pick up. Now, what I've been eating is majority home-cooked food, but takeaways as well. But not what you'd think, traditional takeaways. I mean, silly things like chip rolls, with the more current offerings like, a Jive 2-liter. And I'm aiming to get the calories in, and the calories and the nutrition that will force a weight gain in the wrong direction, which is what a lot of us suffer with, this, what's considered obesity, the visceral fat and subcutaneous fat. And some of these terms I know, I've learned, I'm by no means a dietitian or nutritionist, so please consult your doctors. Have them put you on something related to your medical history. And while I have you, please do share. Spread it throughout the world, throughout South Africa. I certainly hope South Africa is a priority, because I've been busy with programs as well, trying to understand, what is the vulnerable being fed. I see these food trucks, and I see these soup kitchens, and I see these kitchens at churches, and I've sent people to a few, especially when they've hopped randomly into a WhatsApp group and asked people for food or whatever the case may be. It may be a scam, it may not. At the bottom line is, you're asking for this, I'm sending you there. If you don't go, that's your choice. And looking closer and observing what it is actually being fed, some of it just is poison. I mean, the gout I suffer from is almost as like it's my body's barometer. It measures quality of food. The minute I get sick, I can say that what I just ate was complete crap. So now I start to dig deeper and find out, I mean, like a simple example. I can probably eat pasta. It's contains flour, which is processed. And hopefully the contents of flour, if you look at the bag, just says flour. No flavorants and stabilizers and all of these things. But what is pasta really? It's flour and eggs. If you want to, season it, you can season it with chili, with salt, with herbs. You can make a flavorful pasta that all you have to add to it is butter. You've got a meal. I mean, you've got the protein from the eggs. You're getting the carbs from the flour. And that's where it gets complicated, because people may have, a wheat allergen, or they need gluten-free, or all of these complex things that I haven't suffered in my life. But when I look at what people are eating, I can say, well, if you cut that out, maybe you won't have these issues. So, I mean, that is pasta, flour and egg. But if you look at the pasta you buy in the store off the shelf, it'll generally have something like flour, wheat, gluten. And I mean, I took a photo the other day. It's somewhere on a phone, if I can find it. The ingredients is that, no egg, colorants, E110 and E103 or 102 or something. E110 sticks in my mind. Now, if I look at the pasta and I look at what, egg and flour pasta looks like, I can probably assume or come to the perception that the colorants make it look like there's egg in there. So it gives you the look of pasta. Now that for me is already a problem, because, I'm eating fake food. It's edible. No one said it isn't. Maybe it's only killing me to a degree that I don't take note because of the poison. But if you compare the two, then, if you take the colorants out of the one that doesn't have egg, what does it end up looking like? I mean, you're going to have literally flour and water. It's going to be your white pasta. So I'm actually going to try that example one day and just make white pasta and see, if I make a slab, air dry it, and then try and boil it and see if it comes like a slab of pasta. Because that's all it says it is: gluten, flour, and colorants. And interesting. So, things like that. You can make your own mayonnaise. That could be expensive, because now you've got to use eggs and oil. But which oils can you actually consume? What is a genuine oil? I mean, look at sunflower oil. Now you think to yourself, okay, well, no, this comes from sunflower. That's good. It's healthy. But look at what a sunflower looks like, feels like, tastes like, the texture. It's a solid. The sunflower seed that's used for the oil is a solid. So that automatically means there's processing in there. And this is where books like the Banting whatever and the Food Revolution and Banting for Kids, you don't necessarily get that concept. You get the, don't eat this, it's bad. And I'm the kind of person to always ask, well, why? I love it when people tell me, no, you can't do that, don't do that. Why? No, just because. I'm sorry. Then, get the F on out of the way. Thank you very much. So, if you think about that logically, there are certain oils that they say is Banting approved, but this is again, lifestyle Banting, the mainstream Banting, the commercialized Banting. But a sunflower seed is solid, so it has to go through a lot of processing to yield oil. So I'm the kind of person to go, well, that's automatically not unnatural, so cheers. Cheers with that. So how am I going to make mayonnaise now? Now, do I need to eat mayonnaise? That's the next question. If I said air, water, and food is what we need, so the air needs to be relatively clean and breathable for you to even survive. That's a need. Anything else, that's not necessary. And I'm not against anyone who smokes or vapes or whatever you do in your own time and your personal space. You are entitled to. That's your privilege. But I don't need smoke to survive. I need relatively clean, breathable air. So my right will forever trump yours. Bottom line. Water. It needs to be, relatively potable, drinkable. It may have an odor. It may look like there's a problem in it. If it doesn't make you sick, doesn't kill you, then you can drink it. So you'd avoid that by just boiling it to kill whatever germs is in there, unless there's something that can circumvent the heat, the extreme heat. And it may still look poor. It may still have a funny taste, but you can be assured you've killed the germs. That's, how it's been all the years. If that changes anytime soon with a super virus, I'm sure we'll hear about it. But that's what I need to survive. I don't need food. I need food to maintain, to be, sustained. So you can go without food for how many days? I think I've done it 3 days without food. And ask me how I did that, I have no idea. Just water, straight, an entire weekend to test the theory. That's me. If you're going to come to me with something and we don't know the answer, well, I'm happy to try it. If it's within the law and the limits of the law and logic, I'm happy to try anything once within my moral compass. And that's broad. So, water is necessary. Food, yes, but more for sustenance. And in that word inherent in, sustaining you. And that's where it gets messy, because like I said, you've got all these corporations, convenient products. Convenience. That's the thing. Because we're so busy. I mean, I myself, people call me, oh, that guy, he's in the business of busyness. That was mentioned by a DJ 10, if not more years ago. Probably, yeah, almost 20 years ago. You know what, Tom? You're in the business of busyness. I say, well, is what it is. And I've tried to get away from that. I joke when people ask me what do you do. I say everything and nothing, but as little as possible. And these things will be unpacked in a different channel. But when it comes to the food, there's this convenience that we chase. If you speak to anyone, oh, I've been so busy this week. Nothing against them. Oh, things are so hectic. People tend to use that often as a means to garner support or, gain favor and have people understand their plight and their situation. And most people use it genuinely, and some just use it as an excuse. If you want to just digress a bit, politicians like to use that as an excuse. So convenience is a winner for us. I mean, before McDonald's arrived in this country, I don't recall there ever being a KFC drive-thru. They changed the game. There was Wembley. There was Burger Fair. You can pull up and you are served at your vehicle. Who did it first between the two? I don't know. In this country, it's obviously been adapted from what happens in the US with roadhouses. Now, I mean, I've eaten at Wembley. It's gotten bad over the years that I just stopped. And recently people have said, oh, you need to try this. And I was like, all in its good time. It's traditional in the sense that it's not mainstream food chain, corporate food. So I'll give it a try. I mean, I'll give anything a try, even corporate food chains, but I'll tend to one. I'll have a poor opinion of it because it's poor quality food. Now, with McDonald's arriving, you know, that changed the game. Everyone started doing drive-throughs. I mean, even Nando's, Steers, which was a godsend because I was like, I don't feel like standing and walking into a Steers. I don't mind ordering, sitting in my car and waiting for 40 minutes to get my Nando's, to get my Steers. But McDonald's changed that game. So convenience, you know, overshadowed actual nutrition, nutrient rich foods. And as a result, we are looking like Americans, obese. And I can say that openly. If anyone feels offended, you feel offended, that's your choice. You you'll probably say, "Oh yeah, you know, you offended me." No, I didn't. You chose to get offended. I'm entitled to say what I want to say. If it's true, if it's fact, you have to deal with however you feel and how your emotions tie you down with that. That's also a fact. I mean, as I am here, I lost 3 kilos this week, and we'll delve into that. I'm obese. I can go and measure my body fat, and I can guarantee that to you. I can go to a biokineticist, book in a session with a Virgin Active if they still do it, and I'll probably still be somewhat supple and somewhat fit, but you know, my body mass index or the body fat will be excessively high. I've been through all those exercises to understand it, to incorporate it, and tell myself, actually, it's a waste of time. No, don't even bother. All these things. Not in the last 7 years. I mean, since 1999, when I was like, well, let me see what this gym life is like. And I built muscle at alarming rates. So my body is catered or built for that. You know, I changed the perception of close friends and family members about exercise and training. And that helped them over the years. So I have all of the knowledge that is needed. Like I said, I know a lot, not necessarily on this channel, but before. I know a lot. I don't know everything. But I just sometimes need to take my own advice. And people like, oh, you should try this, you should try that. And I just stand there and I nod and I shake my head. And I was like, if you only knew. And hopefully some of you will come to know now. But I appreciate new and different suggestions. You know, and I'll entertain, I'll listen to everyone. I may chime in and say, done that, been there, got the t-shirt, there's a better way and this is what I'm doing. Or okay, I haven't tried that, let's give it a go and see who it can add value to. I mean, I've been fortunate enough over the last 7 years where the first round that I did this was stopped abruptly. But I got the understanding of how this could work. Great. The second round was eating 4 months, no exercise, just to see how the body would react. And I started getting queries from people in similar situations where, you know, they can't exercise, they just don't feel for it. So start eating. You love eating, eat. Try and eat this. Try and do simpler things, because I obviously go to the extremes, like I did Monday. Monday morning, I minded my own business, headed into town, and I was like, I'm going to do this. That's how it started. And here we are a week late. Not even a week later, 4 days later. It'll be 5 days tomorrow morning. And it'll be 6 Sunday morning, and it'll be 7 Monday morning. That'll be 7, a whole week, 7 days. And we'll see the losses, and we'll multiply it up and get to estimates, and we'll draw graphs and lines, and we'll measure it against that. And we'll do this experiment just for this month. And I'll delve into that in a bit. So, you know, you don't need to go as extreme as I did, because the second round was people saying, oh, but I can't exercise like that. And I told myself, well, let's see how this works if you just eat. And I started posting it on my status. Some of you may have seen it, and most of those which I managed to catch before they expired will be sort of loaded up into Instagram. Now it makes sense because I wasn't going to load these things on my racing channel that had no relevance at all to, this sort of project and way of thinking. Don't know if the mic is giving me problems here again. Let me just check. So, I got queries from individuals saying my son's got leukemia, and I've got this problem with my nephew that's got cancer, and we see the way you eat, and I mean, is it really a diet that you're on because of what I'm eating? And it really didn't look like diet food. So, it's, for me, that was touching because here's a 2 and a 3-year old, and the parents are desperately needing them to eat food that the doctor wants them to eat, but they just aren't because kids are kids. So, trying to assist them and sending them all the information, to me, that was heartwarming for someone with a black heart. And I love saying that because I'm a very difficult person. I'll be the nicest person you never met or ever met, but I can be the polar opposite if triggered, but not unjustified. So, my black heart was warmed. And I need to touch base with these individuals because, the boy is still growing, he's still battling, but he's positive. And there are other things coming there. So, this sort of program at that time was just to try and test the waters to prove a point, and I got to that point, and I decided, I did a few tests just on a whim, and I wanted to sort of incorporate this into the racing initiative that I have. And I did some tests that people were skeptical about. So I was like, okay, not a problem. I can do it again. Let's do it and use it as an opportunity to create content. I haven't really created content, in my opinion, on my channel, my racing channel. So this is going to be the opportunity to do that. To say, I've said this. Here's the proof, and let's see how it goes. That's what this is meant to be. And I just started it early because, like I said, I haven't really been gaining weight, and I haven't reached the starting point that I wanted to. So as I said, what I've been eating has been homemade foods, home cooking with traditional takeaways, chip rolls, Gatsby's, salomis, bunny chows, boerewors rolls, fish and chips. Whatever you can think of that we would usually consume before the McDonald's and the KFCs and Steers. I mean, KFC's been here for years. So that was practically a go-to, a treat on a Friday, if not fish and chips. Our lives were simple back then. And the complication that we have has created all of these issues and matters that I felt, we needed to highlight, because people are highlighting what they want to. There's a one-sided view in social media. Let's focus on the good. Everyone's a winner. Let's focus on these positive things, when the reality is that there's a lot of people, smiling individuals, in photos that are super sad. And that's been admitted to me to this day. And I can't understand it. I'm sitting here going, but life is so enjoyable. I mean, I've been through dark times, everyone has, but you've got to look through that and say, there's such a lot to look forward to. Food can help that because it's a chemical thing, it's a chemical process. It's something that can alter your mood, how you feel, how you work, how you live, what you do, your activity. So, I mean, Monday I think I had what, like 6 eggs? And I posted it on my status. Again, I'll take all those pics posted on Instagram and on the community page, link to it, and so forth. But it was rough because the first few days, if not a week or 2 weeks, your body is fighting you. It wants the carbs. You must understand, your brain functions on carbs. It can function on ketones, and that happens when your body uses fat for energy. But it functions on glucose, sugars. And I shouldn't really say sugars because you get dextrose, fructose, sucrose, glucose, a lot of O's. Some of them is what we used to get naturally foraging through berries, fruits, vegetables, whatever vegetables we ate or didn't eat. And the body would utilize things accordingly. Fat for this. Hey, there's some carbs, you've got instant energy boost, and industry has obviously taken hold of that and said, well, let's process this, let's build a product, let's make money. Always comes back to that. Company's goal, as someone asked me a week ago, oh, what's the point of a business? I was like, really? I need a business lesson? But okay, let me entertain this stupidity. It's to make a profit. So that is their aim. But in the interim, we are consuming the poison and suffering accordingly because of convenience. Let's get that straight. If you were to make a burger from scratch, you'd have to go and get pieces of meat, and literally from scratch, kill an animal, a cow, a bok, something. Maybe not a springbok, rugby player, but I mean a springbok animal. Skin it, fillet it, mince that, mix it with fat, form it into a patty. Now you can, make a fire, prepare your protein. Get wheat, ground down to flour, mix it with water. Where you're going to get salt, if you live in the middle of the Karoo, depends if there's salt water pans nearby to season it, if you knew that back then. On that fire, make your bread or your bun or your roll. Are you going to find tomatoes, onions, lettuce? I don't know if that was even cultivated back then. But there you have your bread and your bun. Your bun and your burger. Enjoy. But how long would that have taken you to make? So, okay, there's butchers for a reason. There's bakeries for a reason. This is the simple aspect of what, supermarkets are sort of made up of. So you go to the butcher, you buy your meat. And back then you had your own mincer. Now you buy mince. You go to the bakery, you buy rolls. When we do have, and thankfully we've had electricity for most of this year. Surprise, surprise. Or you make a fire. Fire food tastes so much better. It's a different topic. But you heat your pan, you have your bun, you form your burger, you make your burger. There you are. Simple. Yes, you can have garnish, add garnish, and sauces and all of these things, and now you start to complicate it with sugars and preservatives and all these things to add flavor. I can guarantee you can make a pot of food with animal fat. Literally, this is the ingredients: animal fat, onion, a vegetable, meat. You don't even need salt and pepper, but you can add salt for flavor if you want to bring out the flavors of that. Literally that. Animal fat, which you can probably get from the meat. If you've got fatty meat, cook the meat first, render the fat, take the meat out, Use the fat to fry the onion. Meat goes back in. Vegetable goes in. Meal done. That, however, still takes time in preparation. So you can go that route, simple route, and have the most flavorful food by doing the least amount of things, because there's flavor in fat. You don't need to be adding potatoes. You don't need to be adding sugars, sauces, all of these things. And there are free ingredients which, claim to just be tomatoes and sodium. But I mean, I've made my own tomato puree, tomato sauce before, using just tomatoes. I've made a meat sauce, or the base for that meat sauce, using 7 ingredients. And I need to remember them now. So it's tomatoes, garlic, basil, olive oil, salt. I think that one included sugar. That's 6. And yeah, there is a 7th one. Maybe salt. Maybe salt for flavor. I'll review that. And, even taking the sugar out, flavorful. Once I got and latched onto this concept and program of cutting out sugars, obvious sugars, processed sugars, refined sugars. I mean, if you eat sugar cane, that's probably as natural as you're going to get it. That's going to be instant energy. And the chewing and the breaking down and the enzymes that your body develops to mix with that will most likely make that a lot healthier than refined sugar. And you can probably go and buy this at, I think, Checkers in Sunningdale. We used to buy there. And most likely in KZN. But, you're going to substitute one thing with the other, and you may not get the results that you expect. Whereas I just said, well, these are bad, I'm cutting this out. Let's see what happens. And not a lot of people can do that. And back to sort of Monday's wonderful mix. I didn't want to waste that gold, the fat. So yes, I used a slice of bread to ensure I got all the fat out of that pot. Every last little bit of grease. But my body was in such a state already that that slice of bread didn't even affect my blood sugar. It was processed, it was burnt up, insulin was released. I noticed a bit of a sweat because that's what happens when I eat carbs. But thereafter, my blood sugar was fine. So under 50 carbs, they say, more or less, that's what you should be consuming. I don't count carbs. I don't count foods. I don't weigh my foods. I eat until I'm full. And that's where I say you need to speak to your physician, your family doctor, your dietitian, nutritionist. Because if you can't stop eating, then there may be an underlying chemical imbalance within you. For me it was like, I know I can eat a lot. Give me a Gatsby, give me 2, get your own. To go from that to a dessert bowl for supper. I mean, literally picture if your hand was holding a cricket ball. That size portion. For someone like me, that said a lot. And those who knew me, they already knew. No, this can't be BS because we know them. A buck of acne, 12 Cook Sisters, 2-liter Coke, let's bismillah. I mean, once I walked into McDonald's with a car club that I was with, and I ordered 9 burgers, and then I looked at everyone and I was like, what are you guys having? And the cashier looked at me like, what the F? And I finished all those burgers. And back then I was gymming like, not like crazy, but I was still doing the resistance training, you know, the heavy lifting. So for me, it's like, I'm hungry, but if I'm hungry, I'm hungry. I'm eating. Give me a pot of food. You better have dish yours because I'm eating from here. Die ons bak. He's my buck. Someone give me a big spoon. Not a dessert spoon. I mean, why don't you dish the food with? Give me that. I mean, I went to, I think it's the one and only in the waterfront, Ruben's restaurant within the hotel. It was a buffet. Big mistake. Like, give me a plate. I look at the plate. I was like, you want me to waste my own time and yours because I'm going to be coming up a lot frequently with this little thing. So they brought me a bigger plate. And we're talking, the small plate they brought was a normal dinner plate. So they brought me a bigger plate, a platter plate. And eventually they brought me the platter they serve the roast beef that it is served on, where they carve it up for you. That huge thing. And these people were just like, holy crap. I was consuming. I was eating. I'm burning calories like you won't believe. And I'm big. And it was insane. I mean, that was a family gathering. And there are memories of that. So I don't even need to go into depth. But if you operate a buffet, and you'll know it's me. You'll know it's me. Because it'll get to a point where no one is coming up for more, but I'm coming up for more. I think that used to be my nickname when I was a kid. Gimba. Yes, it is a frat. But I've always been big. I've always been a big boy. And when I started gymming, it's like, okay, I'm going to be eating a lot here. And I'm going to rush my food. I'll sit for hours and enjoy myself. I'll have to be kicked out of the buffet. I think I'm probably one of the reasons that there's time limits on buffet. Maybe not me personally or directly, but you get the idea. So, the concept here is to try and give you, as I said, insight. I want to see where it goes. I'm sure it will go far. As with everything I do, it will go the direction and the speed and the rate that I want it to go. And I may have missed a topic that I was going to come back to, and I'll review it and we'll expand on that in a later episode. But this entire week, it was just on a whim. I'm doing this, and let's see how we go, because I haven't been picking up the weight that I've been looking for, as I said. So I'm doing this for this month, and I'm going to try November if I feel the need to, because I'm in no rush to race. Everyone is in a rush to race. That's their business. I'm really in no rush. I may do in November what I've been eating, home cooked food. So revert back to, the base for the banting the same, and then just add rice to that. Add potatoes, the usual stuff. See what happens in the first week or two. Then I'm going to go the corporate food chain route, because as I said, I've been going the traditional food chain route. Go Vienna and chips. Buy a half a loaf of bread. Kala. Chip rolls. All these things. I'm going to now go the McDonald's route. The Steers, the KFC, the... Nando's isn't really unhealthy, but their sauces are full of sugar. So, Nando's. All these food chains, and see what happens to my weight. So, we'll get a measure at the end of this month. And the very next day will be full-blown alles. Home cooked for breakfast. If I'm on the road, takeaways. Acne Fridays, we're delving deep into that. Acne Sundays, we're going balls deep into that. And we see what happens mid-November, end November. And I might just say, right, it's December, let's try this. And see what happens in those 3-4 weeks. I mean, a speeltyd over festive, so either or. That's going to be the sort of approach, and just to see how it goes, the experiment. So you're more than welcome to join in. More than welcome to add your comments. I can't remember the topic I was going to refer to, but I'm going to discuss some comments that people have sent me in DM and on the group. And if you want to be part of the group, the link is at the bottom. Authorization may or may not be on to join it. I will add you. You can comment later. We can review it in another discussion. I'll review this and we'll see where we go from there. And just to come back to the week, so if you've been watching my status, it's been a mix of eggs, meat, cabbage. I made this mince, this bolognese, ragu, and you'd ordinarily have that with pasta. I just, had it without that. Added cheese. It was insanely fatty that I couldn't even finish the portion. So now I knew the system was working. I'm hitting the state of ketosis, as I mentioned earlier, with the ketones. So now I'm in the state of ketosis, which is where you want to be. Your body is now, there's no carbs for your body to burn. The carbs are out of my system. Now the body goes through what we call carb flu. It's fighting me. It wants carbs. It refuses. It makes as if I'm sick. The weirdest things that your body can do, and it's coming from the brain. And I'm just going, well, then, cheers, buddy. If you don't want to go along with the ride, sorry for your shit. Sorry to hear about your issues. But this is the way we're going. And eventually the body starts burning fat for fuel. Now, yesterday and to this morning, I already noticed my clothes were loose. I looked at myself in the mirror and my legs are thinner. Now, it may not be, dramatic enough for some. It may be super dramatic for others. But the reality is the water and the swelling and the inflammation is the first thing to go. Cells are opening up. All the impurities and the toxins are coming out. It may come out through your skin. You may secrete it. You will excrete it. That's just what the body's doing. It is what it is. But you've got to try and imagine and picture how significant this is. I weighed 123. I don't know the decimal point. I didn't take note of it. I weighed myself this morning at 119.9, which I posted on my status. Now I'm going to round up to make it, as challenging and as difficult as possible for myself. So I only lost 3 kilos. It could have been 4 if I weighed 139.9. I'm not going to dwell on that. So I lost 3 kilos. Now to try and put that into perspective for you, 3 kilos of water would be 3 liters of water. There's no way I had 3 liters of water in my body. Call it a half a liter, call it a liter, but I have been, releasing a lot more fluid than what I've been taking in. I've noticed that. So that's not something that you would measure. If you want to, you can. I'm very technical, extremely technical. And maybe not qualified to be technical, fair, but it is what it is. It works for me. I would have lost because I'm now burning fat. There is no carbs for my body to burn. If the carbs come in, the body grabs it and uses it because it's like, carbs, gone. And you'll know you're in a ketonic state because there's this almost metally type taste in your mouth. The ketones that get given off from your body burning the fat. You may have a little bit of body odor, but I love the scent of myself. So that you're the book, I love that. I'm feeling at one with nature in the bush, part of my genetics, whether it be from the Khoisan side or the European side, because Europeans tend to love the bush. I'm just happy as F. I could care less what anyone thinks. I'm nowhere to be modeling. I'm not here to model. I'm not here to ingratiate myself into anyone. So I'm interested and worried with my own business and myself. People tend to not like that. That's their thing. That's their choice. That's their opinion. They are welcome to it. But let's try and put this into context, right? The gist of things is a gram of carbohydrates equals 4 calories of energy. This is probably the only time I'll ever measure anything. A gram of protein will equal 4 calories of energy. A gram of fat equals 9 calories of energy. So just rewind that, let's do it again. That is the core basis that I'm utilizing to work this whole process through. Now think about it. A gram of fat has 9 calories. More than twice the calories of a carb or a protein, and certainly already more than the calories of a carb and a protein together. So it's a brilliant source of energy. Is it nutritious enough? That's a separate question. But as a source of energy, it's gold. But now you've got to think about it logically. If 1 gram of carb and 1 gram of protein is equal to 4 calories each, and 1 gram of fat is equal to 9 calories, it must mean that's a hell of a lot of fat. And that's why fat people look fat. They feel fat. They are considered obese because there's a lot of energy that can be burnt. And that's why when you start burning fat, you lose it at a massive rate because there's a lot of calories. If your metabolism is high, you could be thin next to no time. And you could do that through exercise, you could do that through activity, you could do that by sleeping well. And that's what I did in the second round when I tried this. Just got good sleep, didn't exercise. Massive rates of energy being burnt, massive calories being burnt. So now I'm saying fat, for that 9 calories, it has to be a lot more to give off the amount of calories for the same weight. But in volume, it's almost double in volume. Now, if you think about it, you weigh yourself. Oh, I'm heavy. But you consider there's bone density, there's muscle, there's water, there's all these other things, and the fat. And people were shocked at my loss of weight, of fat loss. People are shocked when other people lose fat, but because it weighs nothing. But there's a lot of it. So when you lose a lot of weight and you're suddenly super thin, it scares people because, how did you lose a lot of weight? No, you lost fat. Losing weight is a different thing. I don't want to lose my mass, my weight in terms of muscle. I just want to lose fat. So, do I have 40 kilos of fat from this 119 now? Well, let's say 123 that I had on Monday. Do I have 40 kilos to lose? Because according to the government, I should weigh 80, 81, 85 max for my height. How that'll look, I don't know, because, I've got a fat head. So, you start to get the picture that, fat, a lot of fat weighs nothing. So when you lose weight, you're going to lose a lot of fat when you burn that fat, if that's what you're aiming to lose. Based on the calorific count, right? It's got double the calories of either a protein or a carb, and it still has more than a protein and a carb, a gram of those each combined. So 2 grams of carbs isn't even equal to the calorie output of fat for 1 gram of fat. Now you've got to consider, if you have, and you can use your fists, right? If your left fist is protein, and that weighs a kilo, your right fist is fat, that weighs 250 grams. Same volume. So the fat is about 4 times in volume for the same weight, more or less, between 2 to 4 times. But literally if you have objects that are similar in front of you or near you, put 1 of something and 2 of the other, 3 or 4 of the other. Whatever's on your left, the 1 of the something, that is a protein or a carb of that similar size and weight. We're not going to be able to measure the weight of these things now, but in sheer volume on your right hand side will be fat. So now you can see, when people lose fat, they suddenly lose it at a massive rate, and there's a lot of it, but it's actually not a lot of weight. It's a very confusing thing to try and get your head around, but all you've got to remember is 1 gram of carb or 1 gram of protein equals roughly 4 calories. 1 gram of fat equals roughly 9 calories. But that fat will be increased in volume compared to the same weight of protein. And you can see it if you go to your butcher, buy a kilo of mince and buy a kilo of fat. And if they can mince them both for you, well, obviously mince the meat. If they can mince the fat for you, look at how much a kilo of fat minced looks like. It weighs the same as the beef, but look at the volume. Right? That also implies that you've got a lot of energy that you can burn. And this is probably one of the reasons why I could go so many days without eating. As long as I had, water, which I don't even think I did over those few days, which is impossible because I would probably been dead. So I would have likely have had water at least. But I had all the energy to be burnt. So I actually wasn't starving even though I didn't eat. Now that's not necessarily always good, and we'll get into that, and I'll make a note here by saying that, the logic is if you operate a steam locomotive that runs on water or diesel, some kind of fuel, you need a constant source of fuel to keep the fire going. And that fire essentially heats water, generates steam, turns the locomotive. So the fuel is what you consume. The fire is your metabolism. Your body is the water that it's trying to heat. So if you don't feed your metabolism, what's going to happen to your body as we see it as a locomotive? It's going to come to a stall. It's going to slow down. You're going to have metabolic issues. Now again, I'm no dietitian. I'm not a nutritionist. I've been through metabolic syndrome, which I didn't even know existed. I just had no feel or want or need to eat. I just wasn't interested in eating. I mean, oh, I'm hungry. What am I going to have? I don't know. I'll just have bread and butter, whatever. So I spent some time trying to understand that. But that's the idea here. Your body's like a locomotive. Your body is a fire. If you don't throw wood on the fire's going to go out. Simply. So if you don't eat and you don't have resources to feed your body is going to start eating of itself. Now, I mean, it is if it's eating the fat that you have. So people go, fasted for 24 hours, and that's where and why it works. Whatever you excrete or secrete from your body, you need to replace. So if you are going to the loo, you need to have water. If you're sweating, you need to replace that with water. You're eventually going to dehydrate. But if you're not eating, your body has options. Is there fat? Yep. There's no sugar coming in. There's no food coming in. There's a famine. We need to eat what we have, so it will eat fat. Now you eat, your body's registered, but there's a famine, so we need to maintain our stores here. So then it starts to store your fat, because now I'm getting energy. Whatever energy I get now, take it, use it, store this. And that's where some people go from having a diet or being on a diet, and they suddenly lapse, and they end up heavier because their body's been in that state of, there's a famine, there's a problem here, we're not getting food. So when we get food, store what we can, use what we can, but store what we can. It's a bit rudimentary in explanation, but that's generally what happens. So now you are burning fat for energy. Now you've burnt all that fat up. You've got to be very careful, because your body will also use of its own muscle tissue to feed itself. And that's where people start to lose the wrong kind of weight. Their bone density decreases. They start to look emaciated because you're not feeding your body at all, or you're not feeding it good food. Now, so sorry about to hear about your issues, vegans and vegetarians, but it's very hard for you to get complete profile proteins, a complete amino acid profile. And you can't really do that with vegetables. People will say soya is a complete protein. If I eat soya, I get gout. So, to me, that is absolute crap. If you want to eat it, great. You go and eat it. That's the complete protein enzyme. But vegans will end up having to supplement with things like Centrum or all these other pills to get the nutrients that they need just to function. Whereas a carnivore and omnivore eats a variety of things. There is nothing, in my opinion, there is nothing more complete than red meat, specifically beef, for protein profile and amino acid profile. I can eat, for argument's sake, 50 grams of beef and be satiated when compared with eating a whole chicken or a half a chicken, because I'm eating the fat, it's filling me, but I'm just not getting that satiation. So I prefer beef. Some people eat pork, some people eat lamb. I eat all of it, but I prefer beef. Now, there's that is a separate topic, and we can delve deeper into that. The kinds of proteins and the proteins that provide you with the best profile, nutritional profile, amino acid profiles, all these things. I'm just going on and basing it on experience and logic. Now, where I come from, for me, it's, simply, does it look like a piece of chicken? Yes, I'll eat it. Chicken Vienna does not look like a piece of chicken, so I won't eat it. Does it look like a cut of beef, a steak, a fillet? I'll eat it. Does it look like a lamb chop? I'll eat it. This, you know, fake meat products. I think I've got a picture somewhere of this sausage that in the one pack the sausage is clearly fresh and it's been laying flat, so now it's laid out. The other pack next to it, it's been standing upright for a while and the sausage is actually falling, shrinking. Gravity is pulling it down. I mean, is that sausage shy? What's clapping? You know, I personally am not going to waste my time with that. Whoever does, that's your thing. But again, it comes back to replicating something with another thing to somehow make yourself feel better or appease your need or to be more appealing to a consumer. I don't believe in that. So things like, bring it back to the oils. Sunflower seeds. They're not liquid. They are solid. So it's heavy processing. I won't eat it. Olive oil is considered the only oil alongside coconut oil that you should use in cooking. Is a coconut oily? It's solid. Yes, what's inside is nutritious. It's milky. You can drink it, but to get the oil, they have to process the coconut. So as much as it's got good characteristics and all these scientific facts, I'll much rather eat coconut than use coconut oil. And I have in the programs. It's worked. But I don't know the long-term effects. I don't know the effects of any of this, but I'm sticking to the basic rule. Is that how it is in nature? Yes or no? If it's yes, consume it. If it's no, don't. That's how I'm approaching it. Olive oil. I'll eat olives. Yes, olive oil's been used in the diet before, but again, does it appear in nature as a liquid? No, it's something solid. It's something there's texture to it. You have to chew it. And once you chew it, you can feel the oil. Same with sunflower seeds. Once you chew it, you'll taste and feel the oil on your tongue. That's my approach. In a nutshell, that's the secret. If it looks like what it was or is in nature, consume it. If it doesn't, don't. So, I mean, if I feel like wheat, I'll go and grab wheat from the store, and that's not even on the green list as they have this within this diet program, whatever it's called. But that will obviously be a lot healthier than flour. And then you can go a step further and say, well, single ingredients. If I take flour, that's a single ingredient. It was wheat that was just ground up. And I mix it with egg and I make pasta. That's one tier up or one tier down. It's still relatively healthy. But go and look at what we are buying in stores, on shelves. Come back to the argument of mayonnaise. How are you going to make mayonnaise now? Because mayonnaise is oil, eggs, and stabilizes and all these things. You can make it. using olive oil and eggs. People do that. It's banting friendly. You have to use it up because without stabilizers, it's going to start collapsing in on itself and it's going to start separating. I mean, would I want mayonnaise? Maybe once in a while. Fine. And, egg mayo. I would just use full fat yogurt. It's also something that you should get off and out of your diet. But if you look at things like, real true pasta, that's not too far. It's milk and it's somewhat processed into yogurt, so therefore that automatically means it's not good. It's not as bad as other things. So if you really do need to have a mayo type meal, tuna mayo, egg mayo, you could try a full fat plain yogurt, Bulgarian yogurt as they call it. But essentially you want to be coming off that as well. Cheese, it's processed from milk. Not a lot of processing goes into some of them, but you'd want to come off it at some point. And that's why people go on this carnivore diet. I'm going to stick on a carnivore diet and just have this. Let's review. I would love to see those people today. Find their TikToks, go back a year, 6 months when they're doing it. Look at them today. Are they there? Are they still doing the content? What's up? What's clapping? They've done a lot of homework for me. Great. I've gone a very different approach with this. And obviously for me, good aspect, because guys are spending money on going faster, and the argument is racing's expensive. Racing is not expensive, as I said on my other channel. Improving is expensive. You've got to spend to improve. But why not spend on yourself? Buy proper foods. For all the power you want to put in, lose some weight. Quickness will come from lightness. People want to strip their cars. I mean, there are numerous issues to this day of cars being failed the last few weeks. Guys strip their cars. How much do your seats weigh? In total, 50 kilos. Can you lose 50 kilos? Without being rude, just bluntly. Can you lose 50 kilos? Yes, then do that rather. Problem solved. You're going to spend money. You would otherwise, and someone made the statement as well. I'm just going to, gain an extra 10 kilowatts to counter that. That's going to cost you. How about you lose a couple of kilos if you can? If you can't, well, then you got to do what you got to do. But that's where I'm coming from for that point to be part and incorporated in that initiative. And that will result in a lot more. As we stated, we want to be referred to as athletes. We'll start to actually look athletic, perform as athletes. Understand that if this is what we really want to get into, and as people have been saying, even to today, take it to a professional level, then let's start to look professional. I mean, let's take a look at drag races. We most of us look pudgy. And if you're taking offense, then there's most likely truth in that. But note, you choose to take offense. I'm not being offensive. It's a fact. If you look at others that are performing, they may or may not look like athletes. Some of them are hiding behind their super fast cars. Imagine how quick they could be if they actually took their nutrition seriously and focused on them, improving themselves. The car's at a point where it can no longer be improved. You just lose 40 kilos, that could be a 1.2 of a second. That could be the difference between your personal best and a world record. I know it's a pipe dream because not a lot of our cars are in that 4, 5, 6, 7 second bracket. But we're not in a first world country, so I'm digressing a bit here from it. But this is meant to tie in with all of that. And with everyone so interested in, what it is I'm doing, I thought to myself, well, what better time than just to start now? There you are. This is what we're doing. Let's see what happens this month. If there's any queries, you guys are more than welcome to contact me directly or in the group. And I mean, we've got some already where people are saying their sisters also sat down to listen. And that's a good thing for me because, the metrics from YouTube, I don't take note of. They make no sense. People are watching my content in groups, in lounges, in bars, in public. So I'm not too phased about the numbers and the metrics. And here's an example now. Thank you. There's two individuals watching on one account, on one device, on one platform, or one program, product. And they're also saying that, they fasted for 7 days, was a spiritual thing, and all they had was water. It's not untrue. It's not impossible. You need air and water to survive. That's obvious. A lot of people don't realize that. You need food for sustenance. And that just means to sustain you. To progress, and I generally clump that with energy. To progress in life, we need energy. You need good food. Obviously, you need good sleep. But you need things like, fire, heat, electricity. All these things to progress in life. We're focusing on the three important things: air, water, and food. So, yeah, I'm glad that you are loving it. Thank you very much. Yeah, there are many drag guys who could go faster if they just lost a few kilos. I don't know if I'm going to say what you said at the end there, but maybe I'll contact that uncle and see if he's keen as well to join in on the program and take that monster vehicle of his into the sevens, sixes, low sevens. I mean, what is his best? I don't know. I can't say. But we could maybe even get into the sixes. What's the best time in the country so far? 7.4, 7.5 for that build. We'll see. We'll see. But thank you very much for tuning in. I want to try and keep it half an hour to an hour because obviously I've got tonight's Carnival Worldwide discussion coming up at 8. I'm not hungry yet, weirdly enough. All I've had today, to give you an idea, is I woke up feeling for acne, and that's where I went. But I wasn't hungry. I only had that around 10 or so. So yesterday, the last time I ate was about 8, 9, thereabouts. So for about 11, 13, 14 hours, thereabouts, I hadn't eaten. Obviously, I slept. I wasn't hungry. I decided to indulge. That was around mid-morning. Say something to 11. I'll check based on the pictures that I took, and I'll post those pictures as well so you guys can see how that looked. I wasn't gonna miss out on that. But from 11 to now, my body is still in a state of ketosis. It burnt that carbs up like you wouldn't believe, because I've sweated. I can feel the sweat on my skin. It's dried up, and I can feel my skin is clammy. So my body said, "Oh yes, carbs. There we go." But my body is trained now, 4 days in, and possibly because of the previous times that I've done this. The mind is stronger than you know and think. I'm still not hungry. So I may have an apple. I may have supper. Nothing wrong with sushi. I'm not saying do what I did. What I am saying in a nutshell, which we will discuss down the line, is write down what you eat. I'll make the lists available. They're on the internet. I'll post a link to it as well. Write down what you eat. Compare to what the lists say. Don't take it as gospel. Mark them. Color code them. Green, orange, red. Whatever the list sort of legend is like. Sit and look at it and say, well, I really love pasta. So put a star next to that. Look at the things that you can do without. Start there. Simple things. Cut out Coke, cut out sugars, cut out obvious things like, low-fat sweetened yogurt. They have to put some kind of sugar in there to give you a flavor. But have you actually tasted full-fat yogurt? I used to use yogurt and savory yogurt, salt, pepper with breakfast. That's my sauce. Add fruit to it. There's a flavored yogurt. Add it with, low-fat granola. There's a snack. There's dessert. There's breakfast. Instead of the sugar-laden cereals. And I'm not trying to say sabotage whoever these products are, but that choice is for you to make. I'm obviously on a totally different level, on a totally different approach going extreme. Cold turkey, right? We're just cutting out eggs, meat, cabbage, vegetables, this list of fruits, vegetables, done. That's how we're doing it. And yes, like I said, I used a slice of bread to ensure I didn't waste that beautiful gold. And those pictures, you should see those pictures. I'll post that as well. And today I was like, today's acne. I know the buyer has acne today. I'm not gonna look back on today and regret it. So I will much rather deal with the consequences, because besides it being a nutritional issue, it has to be a psychological one as well. You have to feed your psyche. If you feel for something, have it. But consciously look at what is obviously bad and try and cut it out one by one. And I'm proud of a few guys that I know will become very good competitive racers that have started in their own way this week doing it as well. I'm not going to name names. They know who they are. They are actually listening, I can see. Kudos to them. You don't need to do what I'm doing. You don't need to follow the program I'm following. You don't even need to take what I'm saying as gospel. I just want you to get the insight. Ask the questions. Find what works for you. You need to come to the realization that's the only way it's going to work. Not just me telling you this works, try this. For some it will, others may falter, but you need to come to the realization, and then you will realize results. So thank you guys. It is 7:22. I've got half an hour before tonight's roadworthy discussion at the Carnival Worldwide. Please share the links to that, and I'll see you next time. I don't know how frequent this is going to be. Maybe a daily thing at 6, maybe a weekly thing at 6, maybe a weekend thing. You let me know. All the links will be made available. I think they are in the description. They just aren't approved yet by YouTube. Some process about verifying that the links are clear and clean, and whatever the case may be. That process should be done within the week or two, or depending on what I selected. I don't know. But you can just copy and paste it if you can. Or ask me for the channel links. I'll send them to you. And yeah, participate in the polls. Let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know which direction you think it should go. And obviously I have a route planned out, and let's engage. But thank you for tuning in, and I will see some of you at 8. Otherwise I will see the rest of you next time on the Blinkbek. This is the Kos Yakuza signing out.